Last at 11 o'clock today when we go to the AFL, but the World Cup soccer match is going to be played at Olympic Park this afternoon. Eddie Thompson and Frank Farina joins us. Eddie and Frank, it suggests to me that, well, firstly to you, Eddie, that Frank's missed out, the fact that you're allowing him to talk to us this morning. He has been injured, I know.
Yeah, Frank got a knock, he strained ligaments last weekend, and unfortunately there's only a week between the games, so unfortunately I have to rule him out.
Frank, the disappointment for you, is it immense this morning?
Yeah, it is. You know, I flew all the way back from Europe and was looking forward to the two games. It's just unfortunate that we didn't have more time, you know, because it's going a lot better since Sunday. But we ran out of time. It's not so good, and I'll miss today for sure.
Now, I know Eddie doesn't want to look ahead, but are you available anyway for the Milan series from an injury point of view and also commitments in Europe?
Well, from an injury point of view, I'll most probably be struggling as well, because it's, you know, within 10 days, and we'll just have to see how it goes over the next week and that. And if it does get better, well, yeah, I am available. Oh,
that's good news, Eddie. Let's go back to last weekend in Auckland. A tremendous result for Australia to come away with a win, a 1-0 win, but in a way a disappointment because you could have wrapped the whole tie up, couldn't you?
Yeah, really. I mean, it was good enough to win. We'd have settled for a 1-0 before the game, but certainly in the second half we had a couple of good chances, maybe 3 good chances to kill the game, but it makes it that wee bit tougher this week. But I think the boys have proved that we're a better team in New Zealand, so we just have to go on with the job.
And Eddie, what about the mix here? It's been dubbed a dream team and great players with tremendous reputations, including Frank, all these great players in Europe. There's Frank unfortunately being injured and going off. But how did you feel that the teamwork was in this team as we see Arnold now getting the goal?
Yeah, well, the first half we were feeling each other out, I think, and the Kiwis really come at us. They've done a good job. But in the second half, the Slaters and Arnolds and these fellas started to combine. Zelic started to come into his own. So the second half, we looked a much better team.
Frank, your impressions of the New Zealand squad?
I'm sorry?
Just your impressions of New Zealand's strength after playing against them last week?
Yeah, well, I think that they'll be the first to admit that their strength lies in the air, I think, because they're all, you know, most of them are quite big. They're not the quickest of players, but I think that they tried last week to, you know, pump a lot of long balls and high balls, which, you know, had us in a bit of bother for the first 10 minutes. But I think after we got used to it, you know, we sort of overcame it. But I think that's their biggest strength.
And Eddie, can you see them capable of changing those tactics as they go into today's match, or are they committed to that style of play?
Well, I think they'll play the same style. I think they'll sit back and hope that they can hit us on the break and get a goal and force in the extra time and maybe steal another one for the away goal thing. But I just hope they do come at us. You know, it'll make it a much better game for us and for the spectators as well.
What about your preparation this week? Has it been a nervous one? I mean, just one goal up, because an early New Zealand goal will make a tremendous difference today.
Yeah, but I mean, I always think, Bruce, had been 1-0 down, I'd have been in a lot worse state, I can tell you. I'd rather be 1-0 up, and I mean, they've got to come and score. This is it, the main thing, and our defence is good, and I mean, we've been building on the same as we did last week. We're going to play attacking soccer and go at them, so we'll see what happens.
Do you see it a case of an onslaught from New Zealand in the first 15 minutes and Australia just being nice and safe and steady early and withstand that onslaught and then turn it around?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll come at us the same as they did last week. They'll try and get score from set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks. They're pretty useful at them, and well, it's up for us to hold them at the first 15. I'm confident with Zelic and Longo, Alec Tobin and these guys. We're good enough to hold them.
Frank, what do you reckon a home ground advantage is worth in soccer in a situation like this? Can you put a number of goals on it? Is it worth 1? Is it worth 2? Or do you reckon you start even Stevens?
Well, you start even Stevens. You know, we've got the advantage of having the 1-goal lead from scoring away, but yeah, definitely when you're playing at home, you're playing familiar surroundings. You know, people are on your side. You know, when things aren't going so good, well, they can sort of pep you up and possibly help out a bit. You know, like playing with the 12th man. So there's definitely advantages, but you know, today with the weather the way it is, it's not looking so good. But hopefully there'll be a good crowd, and they'll get behind us, and we'll, you know, take the points.
And Eddie, is Olympic Park a big home ground advantage to you? Is there a stadium in Australia you'd prefer to be playing in today to give you an even bigger edge?
Well, I think the football stadium in Sydney, because the crowd are a bit closer and they're probably a bit more vocal. But having said that, the surface at Olympic Park, and plus the South Melbourne supporters and the CSC supporters come along, it'll be a big advantage to us.
Well, the New Zealanders have been here preparing as well, Eddie. Do you expect many changes to their lineup from the one that was beaten 1-0 last week?
Well, they've got two lads suspended. Freddie Duyong got sent off and Billy Wright got booked, so obviously there'll be two changes there. But Freddie's a good player and he caused us a bit of trouble last week. Billy Wright was mainly used as a defender, so I don't think there'll be much difference.
So you're pretty confident with what you might be facing today? You don't think there'll be many surprises there?
No, there'll be no surprises, but I mean, you know the Kiwis, when they're down, they come back at you all the time, and when you think you've got them cornered, they slip out. But our preparation's been good this week. The lads have had their mind on the job the whole time, so we'll just have to wait and see.
And Eddie, do you prefer to play the first match of a two-legger home or away? I'm thinking maybe even to the future here, as you hopefully progress further in the World Cup. I mean, do you have a preference, home or away first?
Well, if it was a week between games, I would like Canada to come here first and have sort of two long flights and two change of time, but it doesn't make that much difference. I'm quite happy to play the first one away when we beat New Zealand.
And we look at some of the teams in Europe that are facing elimination before the World Cup even starts next year. Some great names here with pedigree: England, Scotland, Portugal, Poland and Hungary all look as if they might miss out. So you just see the enormous job that faces countries with a proud pedigree right around the world trying to make this World Cup. And
yes,
it's tough, isn't it, Eddie?
It's the toughest World Cup. I mean, England look as though they're going out, Scotland, Portugal, and these are full-time pros getting huge money doing the next thing. So, I mean, it's a credit for us if we can get there.
And Frank, just finally, Milan is coming out here June 16, 17, I believe. The most famous football team in the world. Do you think it's the end of an era, though? They were beaten by a French club. You play in France for Strasbourg, a French club, Marseille, in the European Cup this year. Is it the end of a great era, do you think, for Milan?
No, I think it's just the beginning, because you know every great team loses games and loses big finals, but this is the first one Milan's lost in a long time. You know, they won the Italian Championship. You know, it was just one of those things. I think a lot of players were struggling with injuries, struggling with form, and they met a side like Marseille who defended well and scored and then just dropped back. So it's not the end of an era, definitely not. You know, they're just starting, I think. Maybe
just a change. The great Dutch guard that has served them so well will be replaced by other wonderful players. Frank, bad luck today. Good luck for the future with Strasbourg and the Socceroos. Eddie, we're all with you, mate, and we hope that you get through and can play Canada in the next round.
Thank you very much.
Frank Farina and Eddie Thompson, the Socceroos, to play New Zealand this afternoon.
To Edmonton or Vancouver for their next game on the road to the World Cup. After soundly defeating New Zealand 3-0 in Melbourne yesterday, Canada will be our next opponent in a home and away tie in July and August. The Socceroos' stylish performance yesterday has given them renewed optimism in their World Cup campaign, as Kyle Patterson reports.
It's probably the proudest day of my life, I think, in my football career, was to captain the team, and especially with a 3-0 win, makes it even sweeter.
Stand-in skipper Graham Arnold said it all, summing up a sweet day for the Socceroos. The All Whites of New Zealand cast a black spell over Australian World Cup aspirations twice in the 80s. Heading for US 94, things are very different.
It goes for goal! 58 seconds in! Australia have broken through already!
That goal in the opening minute gave the Socceroos a 2-0 aggregate lead, and there was more to come.
Man challenging right now is Robbie Slater. A lovely ball for Vidmar! The goal! Oh, this is amazing! 3 minutes into the game! Aurelio Vidmar!
But it was the worst possible start we could have had. I mean, you talk about a dream team, but it was a dream start and a nightmare for us.
The Socceroos scored from their first two attacks, inspired by Robbie Slater, who was well on the way to collecting his second successive Man of the Match award.
When the team plays well and when you get into spaces and you're getting good balls, I mean, obviously it's easy to play, but I'm obviously happy with my form, but I'm not going to say, I think without the team playing so well, your own form can't be as good as it was.
Any hopes of a Kiwi revival were blown away with the typical flourish by the classy Ned Zelic.
Veered back now for Zelic. Zelic's chance. The chance for glory.
I'm real happy with the result. You know, not only the result, the way we played. We scored 3 nice goals and really were a bit unlucky on maybe 3 or 4 other occasions, but they showed in patches the day that they're a class team.
Amid all the jubilation, Socceroo captain Paul Wade was feeling left out. A flu virus forced him out of the team on the morning of the match. Otherwise, it was all good news for the Socceroos. Even the spies from Canada had praise for the Australians.
I was very impressed with Eddie's team. I think he's done a first-class job with the Australian World Cup team. You know, they have a lot of flair and they defend well. Obviously, they can score goals. So I was very, very impressed with the Australian World Cup team.
The real test will come in Vancouver or Edmonton on July 31st. Kyle Patterson, SBS Sport.